What's up, folks? This is Eric from Natural Roots Hydroponics and Organic Garden Supply here in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I'm here to show you the AutoPot Tray2Grow System. Amazing system here. It uses a reservoir and will automatically flood this tray and allow your plants, whether it be pots or you can grow seeds with it, you can do microgreens with it. You can even do lay a big bag of soil on it and grow tomatoes by just cutting X's right inside and put the tomato plants right inside the grow bag. It's a very unique system out of the UK. We're going to show you how to unbox and get it all set up and some of the cool ways you can grow this black-seeded Simpson here or Bok Choi right in your own home or on your patio with very little interaction once you get it set up. So before we begin the unboxing, we're going to show you the different methods that you can use with the AutoPot Tray2Grow. The first method here shown in the upper left corner is with microgreens or for seed starting. The other method in the bottom left, which shows the tomato plants, is actually growing out of a grow bag, and that's what the spikes and the capillary strips are included for. And then in the upper right, that is the raised bed style, and that is a very popular method for indoor gardeners. And lastly, we're going to show you the pots method, and that's the method we're going to go into detail here and show you some of our results. This is a wonderful system for indoor or outdoor growers, and right now we're going to show you how to get it set up. We just took it out of the box, and all these cool parts and pieces come with it depending on what you want to do. The most important piece to this is the float valve here. This is a patented float valve, and it literally allows the tray to flood. The plants will soak that up, and then when it needs more water, it'll automatically allow the water to come in from the reservoir here. Now, the reservoir does not come with this, but you can pick this up here, and you can also pick up the domes for these seed trays. So there's a lot of different options if you want to use it for microgreens or sprouting seeds. These trays are very beneficial. We're going to actually use it for growing some lettuce here. And right now I wanted to show you what we have here to get set up, but we're going to actually take our Rockwell lettuce cubes, use the Happy Frog soil and the Hydroton LECA on top, and then have a tray where this will automatically grow here under our T5 lights. So here, again, it comes with the float valve. It also comes with, this is a reservoir tap if you decide that you're going to use a reservoir with a tap system and a valve system, so to speak. Right now, we're tapped directly into our reservoir with this hose here that comes with that. And then we have a turn off over there if we decide we want to turn off the water, which it is right now for setup. So I'm going to move these trays out of the way and then show you what else it comes with. So these are some of the parts. Again, you've got your shutoff valve. It also comes with it, something that's very important is levelers. These bubble levels will get put in, and I'll show you that now. It's really important, since it's a flood system, to make sure that it's level first and foremost. The tray, if it's not level, you're going to get all the water and nutrients to flood down on this end, and then the float valve will cause it to flood. So there's also a filter. It allows you from your reservoir, it'll filter the water to make sure. But we're going to install the bubble levels right now, and they just snap in to these spots right here. And if you zoom in there, you can see that bubble's right in the middle, showing a nice level tray. And we've already put one in down here, and there's another over here. So again, we're looking nice and level. The other thing we want to do is, since we're using this indoors, there's an overflow valve here. That is in case you do have it in an outdoor setup. This plug here will automatically drain so it doesn't overflood if it's outdoors. Since I'm indoors, I can put this plug in here, and I don't want anything to leak out. So all I do is you can wet that and then put this solid plug right in here to make sure that it's not going to leak. If you use this outdoors, you definitely want to take that out. And then now that we've got the plug in this end, in order to get the valve in here, we want to make sure we put in this grommet into the hole here. This is and what happens is our hose is going to thread through that, making a tight water seal connection so it can fill up this reservoir here. All right, so we've put this in. You can already see we've already mounted it. If you look inside there. All right, and then what we're going to do is take the hose and then feed the hose through and it helps if you wet the hose a little bit. All right, and then we're going to pull the hose through here, as you can see. And we pull the hose through so we have enough to hook up the pump. All right, and then now to hook up the valve, the flood valve. And now this is the important half moon. And then this goes right down on top of this little guy here, this little T that sticks out. All right, and all we do is we snap that down here. Before I do that, I'm going to connect the hose. So we loosen this, put the hose on here after we put that through, wrong way. All right, and then we make sure we get this over that little valve here, over that opening. And then you make sure you do not tighten this too much, just until you start to feel it getting snug. This is a compression valve. All right, it's snug right there. Do not over tighten that. And then now what I want to do is pull this hose back until this half moon is lined up, so I don't have too much extra hose. And then I'm just going to snap it down on that little plastic piece, and now my flood valve installation is secure. Nice and firm, all right? And then again, now that's my lift valve. So when it floods the table, this will lift up and stop the fluid from coming in. The most important thing about this tray is that we have these capillary mats. And there's a couple things. This is a root control mat. This is a copper laced mat. This will actually stop the roots from the plants getting down and clogging this area over here. It's very important that the roots don't get into the valve, or you can have a catastrophic flooding and your reservoir can be all over your floor. You do not want that. So before we put the root control mat in, we want to put in this capillary mat. And this matting is a wicking type system. So it will draw, when the table floods, it'll draw the water and soak this mat up. And then of course the plants on top of that will then, as long as you have some exposure here on your pots, all right, the wicking from this wet mat will then allow the plants to drink up. And when it's dry, that will fall. The reservoir will flood the table again and allow again the plants to take a drink. So you can literally grow indoors or outdoors, leave this unattended as long as you have a reservoir with your nutrients in it already. And you can leave it for several weeks at a time, come home and harvest. So before we can put this in, we need to make sure we soak the mat. And this is a very important part. You do not want to put this in without soaking it. You've got to make sure that you tuck it into these channels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak this in my reverse osmosis water that I used. I have a Stealth Hydro reverse osmosis. We're going to take this and then soak it. So here we have our capillary mat, and we have our bucket of reverse osmosis water. And we've gone ahead and we add nutrients in here, and right now we're going to keep our lettuce and nutrients and all that at 600 ppm. We've also made sure that our reservoir started with RO water, and then we brought it up to 600 ppm. And we're using the MaxiGrow General Hydroponics mix. This is a great general fertilizer for seedlings, plants, house plants, etc. But it's also great for a single 1-part liquid powder fertilizer for hydroponics, aeroponics, etc. So now what we're going to do is take our capillary mat and we're just going to soak it. And you want to get pretty much all the air out, and you want this to soak up the water before you flood the table. And actually, you know, right now, once we soak this and tuck it in and get it prepared, and we put our plants on, we're not going to turn on the reservoir for a few weeks. And that's because we're going to top water all of everything. Once we put it in, we'll water the plants. They will automatically, when they need the water again, we'll go ahead and turn on the reservoir. It should be about a week or two, week and a half. And then it will be a self-watering. It'll take care of everything. You can turn the reservoir on if you're doing this a pinch, you need to go on vacation or something. But we always recommend waiting 1 or 2 weeks and then turning the system on. All right, and then this will also snap over that to keep the roots out of the pump bay once we're done. So right now we're going to leave that off just to make sure we don't have any crazy leaks. Any leaks here, we're going to make sure we leave that off for a minute. Now we've got our capillary mat that was soaked. And again, this is a very critical step. It's also very useful for making sure that the mat is easier to fold into these channels. Without doing this, a dry mat will just not allow you to prep the table properly. You want the black side up, and then you place the matting in, all right, and it's again oversized for the table. And now you want to tuck it into these outer channels. And make sure the mat, once it's tucked in, is touching the edge. And you can pull it back a little bit. All right, and then now we're going to go over on this side and do the same thing. And again, tuck that all the way down. Without this, if you don't do this and put this in this channel here, it's not going to do the capillary action to pull the nutrients and water up to the second level here. All right, so make sure that's all tucked in like that. And again, this is the method for this right here, okay, for planting our lettuce. And then we're going to end up putting that right on top once we put the root protector down. So now we've got this tucked in, and that's pretty firmly in there. Now we take our copper root mat, the root protector, and we lay that on just like that. And now we're going to take this, once we double check it, we're going to turn our reservoir on just to make sure. Even though I say we're not going to flood it for a few weeks, I'm going to go ahead and flood it right now just to show you how this works. So I'm going to move my other ppm water here that's at 600. And right now I have the valve marked for off. And I'm just going to simply turn it on. All right, and now if you look down here, you can start to see it flooding out. So here comes the water, and again, this is this unique valve. Once it floods, it'll come up and it will stop the table from flooding once that comes up to the proper level. It's really a unique valve here. So this is where you want to look at any of the connections on the side. Make sure all your grommets are in firmly so nothing is leaking. Make sure your table is nice and level, as we showed you earlier. All right, the mat should be beautiful and ready to go. Now what we want to do is, we've already finished this one. We actually took some wicking mat that comes with this system for grow bags and decided to put this down in our pot just to give a little bit more contact and more wicking opportunity for this plant. We're going to do this with half of them, and these are some of the wicking materials that come with this. These are actually designed to do grow bags in this system, where you can take a big bag of soil, you use these and thread them through these spikes. You set the spikes up and then throw the bag of soil down, cut the X's in the top, and plant your tomato plants directly in the big bag. This helps wick up the moisture into the big grow bag. So once we have one of our plants done, we can go ahead and lay that down. Now what we're going to do is put some Happy Frog into this pot. We're going to bring it up about halfway, a little bit more. And then we'll take one of our Rockwell cubes with lettuce, put it in, and then take some of the LECA Hydroton and put that on top. Now this is just simply protecting the organic soil from gnats and fungus. It's also locks the moisture in. It's a really great substrate for putting on top of your plants, your house plants, as well as great for growing hydroponics in. So this will add a lot of opportunity for proper bacteria and air to get in and around the root zone, because we have it a little bit further down below as well with some of the soil, as you can see here. And we'll show you how we're going to build one right now. All right, so we ended up using our Happy Frog, and we filled this pot up about 3/4 of the way. All right, and we're going to make a little divot in there. And let me grab a Rockwool cube. So now we have our lettuce growing in our rock wool. You can see there's some root development at the bottom here. You want to make sure that once you get this in here, you put the Hydroton on top. You want to definitely top water it. All right, and we're going to end up draining this tray because we wanted to show you how it goes. And that's the reason, if you're top watering, all of a sudden now you're adding that much more water to the tray. It obviously is going to be a little bit too full. This is designed to stay at that level. So make sure if you're going to top water this, I'm actually going to move it off to the side, top water it, get it all ready to go, and put it right down here next to its sister, and then put the rest of them down on the table. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So we're going to pour the Hydroton, all right, carefully up and around, making sure not to damage the lettuce plant itself. Okay, it's not bad if something rolls over the top of it, and you want it just barely covering the top of the rock wool. Now I rinsed all this Hydroton several times in RO water to make sure, so I'm not carrying any crazy nutrients in here. It's all been rinsed to get all the clay dust, because that will also clog up your soil. All right, and then once you get that all on there, now you want to do your top watering. Get it watered thoroughly through so you're not dripping the excess water into the tray. All right, and then we're going to put it down right next to the other lettuce plant. And then we're going to continue to go ahead and put these all the way through. Right now we're probably going to put 10 plants in here for now, but you could go with smaller pots if you want. I think this is the perfect size for a lettuce plant. You're going to get a good head of lettuce all the way down. It's going to look beautiful. And we're going to take the cover, make sure you do this, put the cover on. This is going to help with evaporation, but it's also going to help keep the roots out of this. Like I said, you do not want to get any roots in here because these roots will start to grow down through this and will spread out along this mat as the plant grows and gets aggressive looking for more nutrients. It will get in there if you do not have this on tightly. And that will probably cause a flooding situation, which you definitely don't want. So some of the other parts I want to show you if you're doing this outside. Here's your copper tape. This is to keep slugs out. Slugs absolutely love fresh lettuce and greens and tomatoes and all their kinds of good stuff. So they give you the copper tape, and this gives the slug an electric shock if they try to come over this. And all you got to do is just take it and put it all around the edge here. And that will keep the slugs from coming up and over into your plants. And like I showed you before, these are the spikes that would go in if you're using grow bags. Okay, there are a lot of other options you can get. You can also see here that you can get fabric planters. Okay, you can do the microgreen trays. You can do the seed trays here and buy the additional domes, humidity domes. And here's the grow bag I talked about. And you have room on the sides for bamboo trellises or a trellis system if you're doing cucumbers or anything like that in here. And then, of course, what we're doing is the pots of any different size. You can use all kinds of different size pots. So don't think you're stuck to just this size. You can use any size you want depending on the size of the plant that you're going to be growing. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We really think that the Tray2Grow system by AutoPot is one of the most unique, easiest ways to get into either indoor or outdoor gardening for any type of plant you want to grow.